Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing NFL Week 2 overview and our reactions to some of the big games this past weekend. So Braeden, I guess we could start with your Packers. Just lost to the Falcons. It was right.
Yeah, 1 point.
After a big Week 1 win. How do you feel after that?
You know, I'm okay because Jordan Love still played really well. He had that one play, he didn't play well on that final drive that would have, if he would have got us in the field goal range, we would have ended up winning the game. Besides that drive, he played really well, so I'm not really too worried. It just kind of sucks to lose by 1 point, you know what I mean? But Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons looks like he might be the best running back in the NFL, and he's a rookie.
Right.
So I can't even be super mad. It's just kind of I don't want that to come back and bite us, like that 1 point loss to, the Atlanta Falcons, who are 2-0.
Yeah, especially with Packers most likely going to be one of those teams that are on the edge of a playoff berth, right? Come the end of the season, those games are big. I think it was away. It was in Atlanta, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tough. It's always tough to win on the road, but yeah, you would like to have that one going forward. But at least they're still at 1-1.
Yeah.
Better than my 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Horrible Week 1 game, and then even the first half of this one was super slow. And then it looked like the offense started to click a little bit in the second half there. T. Higgins was looking good. Jamar was looking good. But then it couldn't quite pull it out. Lamar Jackson played super well. Ravens defense held it for the most part. And yeah, so now my Bengals are 0-2, but I don't think it's officially time to panic. They got the Rams Monday night at home again, but that one is a must-win. I think definitely don't want to start off 0-3.
Yeah, you don't want to go 0-3. Yeah, and the Rams look good right now. I would argue that the Rams might be a top 10 team in the NFL the way they're playing. So that's no gimme. And Monday night, you definitely don't want to go down 0-3 in this conference.
Right.
So, and then with the Ravens 2-0 start, I think they got Indianapolis this weekend, so they should win that game, especially considering Anthony Richardson is probably going to be in concussion protocol. They're probably going to be starting Gardner Minshew. So to me, they should be starting 3-0.
Right.
You don't want to go 0-3 to start the season and then have probably the biggest, the other team in your division that has the best shot at it to start 3-0 because you're putting yourself in a massive hole already. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's going to be tough to win the division already with 2 division losses for the Bengals. But I'm thinking they'll be able to figure it out. If Joe's able to stay healthy, of course, he's still day-to-day right now with the calf injury.
You can tell he's nursing it too.
Yeah.
Just the way he's playing.
Okay. Yeah, so that's our Packers and Bengals overview there. Braeden, are there any games in particular that really stood out to you from Week 2?
Yeah. Definitely the Seattle Seahawks.
Go for it.
Definitely the Seattle Seahawks. And I know, the Lions came off that emotional win against Kansas City to open the season. But, for Seattle, I was high on Seattle. I told you at the beginning of the year, I had them as the 2 seed in the NFC because I think probably San Francisco is the better team. But I like what the Seattle Seahawks are building. I really like what Geno Smith's putting together. 328 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Played pretty well, especially, the second half, and that overtime drive was phenomenal. So I'm still high up on my Seattle Seahawks. I still think the Lions are going to be there. But that's probably my biggest takeaway. And if I had to throw another one in your direction, we could go through a bunch of these games, but it's Tampa Bay starting 2-0. And I know they beat the Chicago Bears, and the Bears are a complete mess right now. I would argue they might be in the worst position of any NFL team because, the Cardinals are probably the worst team. But at least the Cardinals, kind of know it. The Bears came into this year expecting to maybe contend for a playoff spot, and they're, horrendous. Right. And now their defensive coordinator's got all these issues. Justin Fields isn't happy with the coaching. So Tampa Bay starting the season 2-0, even though, Minnesota didn't really give them much of a fight. And then they had the Bears. They got the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night this coming week. So that's a big game. That's a big test for them. If they can kind of go toe-to-toe, even if they don't beat them, if they can kind of contend with them, we might have to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as being the best team in the NFC South.
Right. Yeah, Baker Mayfield's doing real well. The NFC South, there's two 2-0 teams. I think the Saints are 2-0, the Buccaneers are 2-0,
and the Falcons
are 1-1.
No, the Falcons are 2-0.
They're 2-0 also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So
Carolina's
that NFC
0-2 with Bryce Young.
Carolina is 0-2, my dark horse NFC team.
Yeah, the offense
Made
just
a lot of moves.
Made
a lot of moves. Spent a lot of money in the offseason, and it's not working out.
The
well
offense
so
just
for them.
isn't clicking yet. I think Bryce Young is
Young
still a rookie,
quarterback.
so it's almost like it's okay for now. But they just kind of can't get the offense humming. Plus, they started the season off with
Right.
2 division opponents. A lot of pressure there to start the year. So,
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you have any games that stand out this week?
I know. I mean, I guess we could talk about the Giants' comeback win,
Yeah.
but that means nothing to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I have them really high up on the Giants in the offseason. Looked really bad that first half against the Cardinals, but they were able to figure it out. I guess I could go. I'm looking at the scores here. Nothing's really standing out to me. Big win for the Bills over the Raiders.
Yeah. They needed that. They needed
got
that
back
after
on track a little bit.
They needed that. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I could go mainstream here to say Dolphins big win in primetime against the Patriots.
Absolutely.
A little bit looked good to start, a little bit sloppy toward the end, but they were able to pull out the win. And I was high up on the Dolphins going into the season, staying as long as Tua could stay healthy. So yeah, they're 2-0. The Dolphins. So I guess I think I could say it's always tough to win in New England, especially primetime against Bill Belichick, and
absolutely.
Dolphins seem to do it pretty handily. So. I don't think Mac Jones is the answer for the Patriots, but we'll get into that another day.
Yeah, and I'll just
Dolphins look good.
I'll just touch on the Dolphins. It seems from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are high up on the Dolphins to start the year, and rightfully so. They're 2-0. They went to LA. They're both road wins, right? They went to the Chargers, and they kind of got in a shootout with Justin Herbert. Won that one. Tua had a crazy game. And then they went toe-to-toe with the Patriots. They won by, 7 points here? But I think we do need to pump the brakes, right? I had the Dolphins missing the playoffs. You're kind of high up on the Dolphins this year. They're 2-0. Their offense looks really explosive. And they're, barely squeaking by a team like the Patriots that a lot of us had finishing last in the AFC East. If they want to go and play at Kansas City or even at Cincinnati when they figure it out, Baltimore, there's a lot of teams in their division that right now, even though the Dolphins are 2-0 and look like they have the best offense in the NFL, they should have beat the Patriots much more than they did.
It's a division opponent on the road, and they won pretty handily. They dominated most of the game.
You're
just
right.
Got really sloppy toward the end.
You're right. But
I'm high up on the Dolphins, I must say.
But I can't be higher up on the Dolphins.
You're still not buying
maybe
into
right
them,
now
huh?
they're a better team than Kansas City. But I would never if next week was Miami versus Kansas City, even if the game was in Miami, I would pick Kansas City for sure.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. They still got to prove too
Exactly.
that they're good 10. They got to okay. That's fair.
And they
That's
got
a
a lot
fair
of tough games. Even Denver next week, even though Denver, and we could talk about the Broncos real quick, even though Denver isn't that good, I still believe that Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, that's not going to be an easy out for any team. I would.
Oh my God! Here we go.
No,
Sean
I'm
Payton,
just
Russell
saying.
Wilson.
I'm definitely going to pick the Dolphins to win. It's a home game. They're 2-0 to start. They're hot. Definitely pick.
I do think this might be a trap game for the Dolphins.
That's what I'm saying.
I do think it
that's
could
what
be
I'm
a potential
saying.
trap
And
game.
I think
But
regardless,
not because it's Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. I just think that's just how it's going to be.
I guess my point here is I feel like the Broncos they're not going to get blown out. Last year they were bad.
That's
right?
fair.
They're going even if they go 0-16 or 0-17, whatever it may be, I feel like they're going to be in every single game, right? So if I don't know what the spread for the game is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Denver covered, right? If it's a 3-point game, just because I feel like Miami will definitely win, but Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, will still keep them there. But yeah, the Broncos are a mess
That's
too.
fair. That's a fair point.
You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I would never
Yeah.
right now pick Denver over Miami, but I'm just saying I think it's gonna be closer, like a trap game almost, like you're saying.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Just real quick,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add on to the Broncos here. They 0-2 start.
That's right.
Two real bad losses for them too.
Yeah.
To lose that first week and then to go out, have a pretty big lead on the Commanders and let Sam Howell come back on you is kind of demoralizing. They're just kind of a mess. And, like, they're talented, which is the weird thing.
Yeah.
The only reason
Maybe they could click and figure it out. You never know. It's
Yeah.
kind of how it is. New coach, right?
Yeah.
New coach, new system.
True.
Maybe it'll just take some time for them to click.
True, and, Washington, 2-0 start. You never know. You never know. In the NFC, it's kind of a weaker conference now. There's some teams that clearly stand out. I look at Dallas. I look at San Francisco as standouts. But, the Commanders 2-0, they could maybe be contending late in the season for the 6 or 7 seed. The way they're playing right now. Even though, they beat the Broncos and the Cardinals, it's not really saying much. But Eric Bieniemy's got that offense clicking for sure. So 35 points is 35 points. Doesn't matter who you're playing.
Right. So I guess that'll bring us into our next segment here as we wrap it up. Braeden, so I think there's 8 2-0 teams. The Dolphins, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers. So eight
San
2-0
Francisco
teams. Oh, did I skip? Oh, yeah, sorry. Skipped. So that's 9, right?
Yeah.
That must be 9 then. So who do you think is the best 2-0 team in the AFC, and who do you think is the best 2-0 team in the NFC? And then give me your overall best 2-0 team as we head into week 3 here.
Yeah, so I think in the AFC, the only 2 teams are Miami and Baltimore, and I think you definitely have to go with Miami here, just because 2 road wins. Their offense looks explosive, their defense is clicking. Again, like I said, I want to see them play. I want you to prove it to me, right? I want to see you go. Even if you go and you play a team like Dallas. They do have Dallas this year. I don't know what week it's in. That's going to be an explosive game. That's going to be a fun game to watch. Go toe-to-toe to Dallas or San Francisco. You know what I mean? Prove it to me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And, Baltimore's a close second. Lamar's playing like Lamar. They're playing to his strengths. He's a runner. So they're running him. They're doing the complete opposite of what a team like the Bears are doing. So I'm going to go with Miami. And then in the NFC, I think...
I must say,
Oh, go ahead.
I must say, I am surprised that you went with the Dolphins there. I thought you were definitely going to say the Ravens. I just feel like the Ravens have proved it the past couple years. They just couldn't really get over the edge with Lamar and all the injuries. But, yeah, I think I agree with you also. I think the Dolphins, by slight edge... Ravens also had a big road win in Cincinnati against my Bengals.
True.
So I honestly think it's a toss-up right now. But if I had to pick, I would say the Dolphins. I think they're super hot. Ravens have a little bit more experience in bigger games and like being more consistent.
Yeah.
I would say. But yeah, both teams. I feel like they're very similar. This is more of a prove-it year for both teams.
Yeah.
And they're both off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, and we're 2 weeks in. We're not going to overreact to anything. I mean, Baltimore's got their next few games are kind of gimmies. Baltimore, they've got Indianapolis, then at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Their first real test, Cincinnati was a test. But Sunday, October 22nd, they're playing Detroit. And then they got Seattle. They do play San Francisco. They got a tough stretch where they got to go Jacksonville, San Francisco, Miami, back to back. So, we'll see. Right now, I'm going to say Miami though, but that probably won't last too long because I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to heat up. I think they're going to figure it out.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. So now give me your NFC team here.
Yeah, and I think this is
a lot more to choose from.
I think this is kind of obvious too. It's San Francisco. Because
I agree.
Listen,
I agree with that one as well.
Forget the NFC South. We're gonna negate them, right? Washington, no. Philadelphia 2-0. Both their wins were kind of sloppy wins. They're not playing to their full potential, and I think that's because They signed Jalen Hurts to this massive contract, and they're kind of taking away his biggest strength, which is running the ball. That's who he is at his core. And they're still running him, but not to the same efficiency that they were last year. And yeah, they're 2-0 against two, pretty semi-decent teams. But, if Dallas keeps playing the way, they're playing, watch out. You know what I mean? But right now, I would say I think you have to pick San Francisco because I think they're the best roster top to bottom in the NFL, period, right? Defense is loaded. They're dogs. And then their offense, they're all over the place. You got Brendan Ayuk. You got Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy is playing fantastic football.
Yeah. I think it's fair. I wouldn't argue with anyone if they said it's the Eagles or even the Cowboys right now. Yeah. Both Eagles. I know Eagles, you said, had a sloppy win, but Thursday night game on the road, I believe.
Yeah. No.
So always have to win.
They played Minnesota at home. The first game was on the road.
Okay. So still, Thursday night game, those are always a toss-up. I try to stay away from those in the survivor pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would have to go with the 49ers as well. They're just loaded both offensively and defensively. And I think you said this in our preseason review. If Brock Purdy could play even at a decent level, they're going to be unstoppable, and he's exceeded that so far.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to give a slight edge to the 49ers. But Cowboys are right, or not Cowboys. The Eagles are right there. They could be a 1B for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But I do give the slight edge to the 49ers.
And again, I mentioned this earlier in the video, the Brock Purdy with the 49ers was my one question mark with San Francisco. Mm-hmm. That's why I picked Seattle, right? Because I knew that San Francisco was a better team. But Brock Purdy, I was like, can he replicate what he did last year? Was it just kind of like rookie luck? You know what I mean? Is he going to have a sophomore slump? So far, he's making me bite my words, right? Because he's playing phenomenal football, and he's not making mistakes. That's the big thing, is he doesn't need to be Superman. He can kind of be like what Tom Brady was for many years. Not to take anything away from Tom Brady, but he kind of was a game manager for a lot of years in New England, and that's why he was so successful. He didn't make mistakes. If Brock Purdy cannot make mistakes for San Francisco, they're going to be next to impossible to beat because they have the best roster in the NFL. I'm looking at that Sunday Night Football, October 8th, Dallas at San Francisco. Both those teams are going to go into that game 4-0.
Hot take right there. We'll see. Let's see if that holds true. All right, one more question before we end it here. Speaking of Dallas Cowboys, are you buying into the Dallas Cowboys hype? 2-0, both pretty dominant wins. Give me in 30 seconds or less, are you buying into it or no?
No. They're really good and they're going to be there, but it's similar. It's kind of similar to Miami. It's kind of you need to prove it to me. Dallas has been there in previous years. I'm not taking anything away from them. They're the second best team in the NFC right now. Maybe in the NFL, right? Because I still have San Francisco first, right? They beat up on the Giants. The Giants look like garbage. Yeah, they got that win against Arizona, but it was a comeback win. And then they beat up on the Jets, and they probably beat the Jets even if Aaron Rodgers is there, but it's not 30-10. Zach Wilson threw 3 picks. And I'm not taking anything away from the defense. The defense they're monsters, right? I just think San Francisco is going to be the better team. I think they're better defensively and offensively. I don't trust Dallas offensively yet. I think they need another piece at wide receiver. That's why I say I think you got to watch that Sunday Night Football game, October 8th, when they travel to San Francisco. If they can,
it's a real test for them, yeah.
That's a huge test for them. And they have a bunch of tests later in the year. They got Miami. They got, Seattle. It's not that I'm not buying into the hype. I'm just we're 2 weeks in and they beat up on.
You gotta prove it, yeah.
Yeah, they beat up on two teams that going into the game, we thought, we went into the week 1 game against the Giants and we were like, okay, maybe the Giants can contend, but we knew Dallas was the better team, and then Jets without Rodgers, whatever, and then they're gonna beat up on the Cardinals this week. It's give me a break.
once late October, early November comes around, we'll know who teams are.
Yeah, exactly.
A little better. So yeah,
wait until like week 8, week 9, and then
and
ask me again if
right.
I'm buying into the hype. I still don't trust them in January though. They can have a perfect season, perfect regular season. I won't trust them in January yet.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, I think that about wraps it up here on In the Yard.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add, Bray?
No, I think we're good. It's awesome. Quick little episode.
Thank you everyone for listening. Like, comment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll be notified for all future videos. More content coming your way, and we'll be postseason right around the corner, so we'll definitely
definitely get another video in there.
And have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time.